Well, one of the latest complaints is that the player base seems to be dwindling. Obviously, this isn't something I can confirm because I don't have a Switch 2, but several people have come out to complain about how they're having a little more trouble finding games now, and more bots are starting to show up than players. And this has been noted by multiple content creators.
But I definitely have noticed something. You know, when the game first came out, you would maybe have one or two CPU characters here and there that would be included in your knockout tours. But lately, it's been like half the field has been CPU characters. And I'm kind of like, well, why is that the case? Is it because of when I'm playing the game, the time I'm playing this game? Now, I usually play it in the afternoon when I'm getting my steps in, but previously when I had been playing it, it still was always, 99% human characters playing with limited AI characters, and now like half the field is starting to do that.
What's going on, dudes? It's your boy, Andy Matrix. I'm back on the Good Guys YouTube channel. So, the Nintendo Switch 2, it really only has two games right now. That's Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. But what happens when they ruin the most popular one, which is Mario Kart World, right? Well, I mean, it's not much of a console at that point. Mario Kart being one of the, biggest franchises, every single new console of Nintendo has a Mario Kart. Right? But what if I told you that the latest one, it doesn't even compete with Mario Kart 8. Yeah, that's right. Mario Kart 8 is actually doing much better than Mario Kart World. Guys, it's your boy Andy Matrix. If you haven't heard of me, you can check me out on Andy Matrix Gaming, where I talk about anime, gaming, Japanese culture. The link is in the description section. You can go ahead and follow me there. Check me out at Andy Matrix Gaming. I'm trying to reach 3,000 subscribers, so if you'd like to help me out with that, I greatly appreciate it. And guys, make sure to follow Angry Guy on Rumble, because YouTube has become the censor station. Okay? Angry Guy's uploading his videos to Rumble. He's even got some new content over there, so you might want to go check that out. Click the link in the description. And finally, do not let the elites tell you that you own nothing and be happy. Okay? Make sure to check out Angry Guy's Crypto Academy. Invest for the future in crypto. Since we're going into a digital future, crypto is going to be something that we can use to have some financial freedom in the future. So click the link in the description. Check out Crypto Academy. Now, let's get on with the show. So, the Switch 2 has been out for about 2 months now. It's released in June of 2025. And it only has two games. It only has two games. When the PlayStation 5 was released in November 12th of 2020 during the pandemic, it already had like 28 games. Maybe a little less than that. I think it was only about 10 to 20 games, something like that. But it had more games on the release date than the Switch 2 did. I want you to think about that. PS5 had, about 10 to 20 games on the release date. Switch 2 only has 2 games available right now. Oh, Nintendo has really messed up. Now, many gamers are leaving Mario Kart World and moving to bigger and better things. There aren't enough people playing Mario Kart World, so most of the time you will be playing solo. It's getting harder and harder to find active users, for online matches, and group racing. And most of the time you're just going to be racing with other PCs, other computers, bots. And that's how much the game sucks now, right? They try to make it open world, but really I don't know. People don't really have much good to say about it. There's been a lot of, there's been a lot of just negative reviews towards the game. It's not as good as the Mario Kart World. Ever since, I think it started in 2010s. it really started in the 2010s where like a lot of gaming companies, they turn everything into an open world. And open world, it does not work for everything. In the case of Mario Kart World, I don't think open world works for Mario Kart. You know, maybe new features, maybe new vehicles, new weapons, things like that. But in open world Mario Kart, I just had a feeling it wasn't gonna work. You know, you just can't apply this concept to every game. And the way that they did it still is just like an empty world where you're just racing. You know, open worlds, they were made more for like one player games, you know, adventure games where you have this one, like the main character, like basically like Breath of the Wild. You got the main character exploring this world, interacting with the world. But if you're just racing around the world, just moving fast through it, there's not much joy behind that. But anyways, we got Fertanga to dive deeper into this subject. So let's go ahead and check out Fertanga.
Now that the honeymoon phase with Mario Kart World is over, because you know how Nintendo guys are, they'll call every new Nintendo release the best in the franchise every single generation. Remember when they thought Skyward Sword was the best Zelda game ever made? You remember that? I think when it comes to Nintendo products, the hype behind them is bigger than the actual games themselves. And based on the amount of people that have been subbing to this channel, I'm glad to see I'm not alone in thinking this. In fact, so many of you subbed, I got to 100k subs, and now I have to do a face reveal. And that silver play button is currently in Salt Lake City, just about 2 days away from arriving at my house. So you better hit subscribe, you want to be there when I do a paisa-ass reveal in front of a Home Depot. Te esperamos. Anyways, before this turns into another rerun of Sábado Gigante, let's get back to the focus. Mario Kart World, the first official $80 AAA game, has thus far proven itself to not be worth $80. And with how Nintendo hyped it up, one can't help but notice Mario Kart World ain't lighting the world on fire right now. Hell, it didn't even light the world on fire at launch. The only fire it lit was the hatred in my heart, because this game looks like absolute ass. And like many others, my criticism towards this game is a lot more rough than your average AAA title because it's valued in at $80. And well, I think it's pretty reasonable that if you're going to be charging $20 more, then people have every right to ask, where is the extra charge? With that type of price gouging, you would expect Nintendo to be breaking boundaries and innovating in ways we've never seen before, but all they did was finally provide the same amount of players on one track that other racing games have been able to do for generations. Oh, and it's in a big, empty, open world that serves no purpose other than to stall you in your travel time between different tracks. Well, that's not necessarily true. They did hide a bunch of P-switches all over the open world map, but you have no actual way of keeping track of which ones you found or where they're located, and they're never marked on the map, and all you get for doing them is stickers for your car. Honestly, I am amazed at how Nintendo didn't learn from other successful open world racers like Forza Horizon or Burnout Paradise City, especially Burnout Paradise City, which made sure the player got the most use out of its sandbox/open world map. Nintendo utilizes absolutely nothing in its open world for Mario Kart. It merely exists to make it seem like this is a bigger game than every other entry, when in reality, it's just merely the emptiest game they've made. On top of that, we're talking about graphics that are indistinguishable from the Nintendo Switch. How Nintendo managed to make the game look nearly identical to what they released 12 years ago is a slap to the face of the paying consumer. Yes, you can race with more people. Congratulations. It only took you 12 years, but these visuals are a joke. Yes, graphics aren't everything, but if you ever notice, that's just reserved for Nintendo games. Anything else that releases not looking so pretty is ridiculed, but Nintendo games always overlooked, always excused on the visuals. It's lackluster. It doesn't look like they even tried. This is honestly the least amount of effort I have ever seen Nintendo put in. During the GameCube era, you felt that drastic leap. Going from Switch 1 to Switch 2, The games look like they still haven't left the fucking Wii U. I kid you not, this gives the exact same vibes Pokemon Sword and Shield gave when we were first presented their open worlds. Nintendo gave you the bare minimum. And how they can get away with it, but if the next God of War or the next Halo look too similar to last gen, they will catch all the flack for it. There are various changes made to the game that haven't gone over with the community. I could list them off, but you probably already know all of them. Well, one of the latest complaints is that the player base seems to be dwindling. Obviously, this isn't something I can confirm because I don't have a Switch 2, but several people have come out to complain about how they're having a little more trouble finding games now, and more bots are starting to show up than players. And this has been noted by multiple content creators.
But I definitely have noticed something. You know, when the game first came out, you would maybe have one or two CPU characters here and there that would be included in your knockout tours. But lately, it's been like half the field has been CPU characters. And I'm kind of like, well, why is that the case? Is it because of when I'm playing the game, the time I'm playing this game? Now, I usually play it in the afternoon when I'm getting my steps in, but previously when I had been playing it, it still was always, 99% human characters playing with limited AI characters, and now like half the field is starting to do that.
Right now, you can go online, and you probably won't get more than 15 to 16 players to fill a lobby out of the 24 that should be filling the lobby. And there's a lot of times I get way less. Honestly, if you go play battle mode right now, you'll probably only get like 6 to 7 real players, which is crazy. I just realized that the other day. I'm not a big fan of battle whatsoever, especially considering the fact that they didn't do anything different with it in this game, and they just made it, completely bare bones. But I wanted to try it out just for the sake of it, and also for the review that I'm writing, and battle mode is just empty. It is completely and utterly empty. I mean, there was a couple times I was only playing with like 4 or 5 people on these big maps trying to find people. It was just, ridiculous.
But come on, it's Mario Kart. Surely there's still some people playing this game, right? Well, I queued up for an online race, waited for around a minute, and an error code popped up. No f***ing way. Okay, I thought maybe it was my internet acting up. Sometimes that can cause some connectivity issues. So I tried again, and it happened again. Oh my god. Okay, then I tried it one more time, and okay, there we go. But is that not crazy? This game has only been out for a month and a half, and you're telling me that it's already difficult to find an active online match? What? And even when I eventually got into a lobby, it was pretty empty, man. So a lot of people could chalk this up to the update Nintendo pushed.
That's right. And as we are going into an all-digital future, you're going to want to invest into cryptocurrency. So check out Angry Guys Crypto Academy, where you'll learn how to buy and sell crypto, day trade crypto, make a profit off of crypto. But most importantly is finding out which cryptocurrencies are the good ones. Which ones should you invest in, right? And Angry Guys got a guide for that in the Crypto Academy. So go ahead and click the link in the description. Check out Angry Guys Crypto Academy. Now let's get on with the show.
Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
So, from the very beginning, many Nintendo games were made for multiplayers. If you remember the old NES, right, the old Nintendo console, and the Super Nintendo, they were always like 2 players, right? There's always been like about 2-player games. And then when we got to the Nintendo 64, we were able to play 4. Now we have 4-player games. Same thing with the GameCube, same thing with the Nintendo Wii. 4-player games. You could have your family, cousins, uncles, aunts, your girlfriend, your school friends. You could invite people over to your house and just play. Man, oh man. The good old days of gaming are so gone now. But anyways, I was fantasizing. But anyways, I aside from maybe Zelda, a lot of Nintendo games tend to be, multiplayer. And that was the joy behind Mario Kart and Mario Party, And so going online with Mario Kart World and seeing barely anyone available is kind of depressing, right? Because that is the joy behind these types of games, these multiplayer games. It's not just, you don't just want to play by yourself. Now with the internet, you want to find other people to play with and, maybe chat, talk crap to each other. That's the joy. That's the joy of gaming, But now that Mario Kart World, a lot of people are just kind of abandoning it. There's not much activity happening. There's not many people, just active in the game. So when you go in, you're probably gonna have like one or two other active users, and everybody else is just, the PC. It's just an NPC, a bot, right? It's kind of depressing. No one wants to play Mario Kart World. So a lot of people are just going back to Mario Kart 8. Man, Nintendo has screwed up. Nintendo has screwed up big time with this one. To ruin Mario Kart. They must have... I don't know. They really didn't think this one through. But anyways, let's go back to Fratanga and hear what he has to say about it.
Now, it's obvious why this is a problem. Mario Kart is the type of game that thrives off of an online community. It especially doesn't look too good for Nintendo when they pushed heavily for this game being able to have up to 24 players, which is double the amount of Mario Kart 8, but oftentimes you're not going to actually get 24 players. And you could see that as a good thing, because some people didn't like the chaotic nature of 24 players, but it shows that the new features Nintendo included, like 24 players, isn't even really being utilized. And that's something that Nintendo points at to justify charging you an extra $20. Now, of course, this is all anecdotal. This is just the experience of 3 content creators. We don't have any actual numbers to look at. Nintendo doesn't ever really release numbers. It's not like Steam where you can just go and look at the live player count and see for yourself. But it was well over a month ago that Nintendo released an update that pissed off the entire Mario Kart World community. And throughout all of June, people were saying that's it. They're quitting Mario Kart World and going back to Mario Kart 8. Perhaps they weren't just talking shit and actually meant it, which is a very rare thing for Nintendo guys, so I don't believe that's the case. These guys wouldn't take a stand against Nintendo if they slapped their own mother. I think a lot of people are just overlooking the obvious, and that is that the reason they're not getting full player lobbies is because not everybody has moved on from Mario Kart 8 yet. Hell, I guarantee you there's significantly more people playing Mario Kart 8 right now than Mario Kart World, and that's simply because more people own the Switch 1 than the Switch 2. I don't think it has anything to do with a dying player count, but more to do with a lack of a growing player count. It's going to take time before the majority of Mario Kart players are Mario Kart World players. They kind of have to own the Switch 2 to even play it to begin with. But then that also puts into question, is Mario Kart World going to be as successful as Mario Kart 8? That's going to be very hard to live up to, seeing as how that game is almost 12 years old, and this one is brand new. However, this one does not have as much content as Mario Kart 8, or options and choices, and it's a full $20 more. Unless they completely pull the plug on Mario Kart 8, I don't see Mario Kart World surpassing Mario Kart 8's numbers. Because if people do get a Switch 2, they can still play Mario Kart 8, and chances are they're gonna choose that over Mario Kart World simply because it's $20 cheaper, looks the same, and has more content going for it. People do not have an incentive to get Mario Kart World. The game needs a lot more content than what's there for $80. Let's face it. I'm sure that expanded content will come in time. But as it is not worth $80. And that may be the deciding factor at the moment. Now, I do want to be careful because I don't want to give Nintendo any bad ideas there. Because if they do pull the plug on Mario Kart 8, that would be unforgivable. But I honestly can't think of any other way Nintendo would be able to pull people away from Mario Kart 8. And the denial that Nintendo guys go through. They realize the ramifications, but they want to pretend like they don't exist. They don't want to be reminded of what they're supporting here. And that is Nintendo charging them $20 more for a lesser experience and what is blatantly a half-assed product. So all the Nintendo twig boys that take personal offense at the mere mention of facts and reality got real defensive and butthurt over people even bringing up all the flaws with the product.
Mario Kart World is so overhated. Literally everything about the game is fantastic, except online versus, which is still fine with friends. And even then, Knockout Tour is fine, and yes, that is a fair criticism, but people are acting like the entire game is foiled and irredeemable.
See, look, to say Mario Kart World is a bad game would be to say that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a bad game. So no, Mario Kart World is not a bad game. Far from a bad game, but one cannot deny that it underdelivered, and people waited about 12 years for this. To have less battle modes 12 years later, how does that make any sense? And they charge you $20 more. How these guys can overlook the $20 extra with these kind of results is beyond me. That is what we call toxic positivity. You say it's overhated, I'm telling you, you haven't hated it enough. What Nintendo pulled off here for $80 is something these Nintendo guys would crucify any other game developer for, and they know it.
Seems criticizing Nintendo blindly is a goldmine for small YouTube channels right now. As I've been saying, the internet is trapped in a negative feedback loop, and I believe the algorithms are to blame.
Really? The algorithm is to blame. Are you forgetting that people manually click on these videos out of their free will because the topic interests them and they may agree with it? There's plenty of toxic positive Nintendo channels with videos out there, but people just ain't gelling and vibing with it at the moment because people are sick of letting Nintendo get a free pass on everything else they criticize the industry for. I love how they say that Nintendo's being blindly criticized as he blindly consumes. These guys fully expect everybody else in the world to overlook the $80, overlook how it's less of a game than Mario Kart 8, overlook the lack of a visual leap, overlook all the cracks in the game, and just talk about the games in a positive manner. These guys act like this criticism of Nintendo isn't deserved, as if the company doesn't have it coming for quite some time. They're really asking themselves, what did Nintendo do to deserve this hate? I haven't seen a game fall off this hard since Splatoon 3.
A couple of big content creators post 1 or 2 packs of a half-full online lobby to twist their narrative, and suddenly a game that sold almost over 2 million copies has fallen off. Actual laughable.
Now, in all fairness to this tweet, he ain't wrong. A couple of YouTubers showing empty lobbies is not evidence that the game fell off and died. But of course, what these Twitter comments are failing to do is tackle the actual criticism in these videos. Yes, you can look at a video title that says Mario Kart World is dead and clearly tell it's hyperbole, but what they can't do is deny every other criticism that's in that video about the $80 price tag, the updates, the lack of features and modes. They're more concerned with letting you know, no, Mario Kart World is not dead, than to let you know, yeah, Mario Kart World's kind of underwhelming. And its price tag and current amount of content is a problem.
Every negative Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World thumbnail in a nutshell.
No! Yeah.
Well, you know, he ain't wrong. If you want someone to blame Nintendo for making it too easy with some of the most despised policies and restrictions and obnoxious price gouging. Do these guys honestly expect people to say nothing and just consume product? You know, not all of us bend the knee so easily. These are the types of people who have no problem with all the spammed Activision videos, spammed Bethesda videos, spammed PlayStation, Xbox videos, but they see any spammed Nintendo hate, and suddenly they want to speak their mind. Why is that? That's because these guys think Nintendo gets a free pass That's why. And they've proven to Nintendo that there's nothing they can do wrong by buying this game. As far as I'm concerned, every single Nintendo guy has lost their right to complain about any anti-consumer practice.
So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your original Nintendo Switch console, right? Keep the original Switch console with you and play Mario Kart 8, because it seems that, you know, players just still rather play the old stuff, you know? And forget about retro. Forget about, you know, retro games like from the 80s and 90s. I mean, going back as far as the PlayStation 4 in the 2010s, because in the 2010s, the gaming was still cool. It wasn't until we got to the, you know, 2019, 2020, right? You know, the PS5 came out, and now we got the Switch 2. That's when gaming really started to decline. That the past 5 years of gaming have been total freaking trash, bro. Total trash. So all you really have to do is just go back one generation, and there's still a lot of good games. And again, people are just going back to Mario Kart 8. And you know something? I was thinking about this. I'm not sure why, but well, it's because Nintendo has been screwing up so much. You know, something tells me the next Zelda game is probably going to suck. The next Zelda game is probably going to suck, and I'm not sure why, but it seems like these days they are just not putting much effort into their franchises. Right? We had a really good Zelda game, which is Breath of the Wild, and the one before that was Skyward Sword, which is god-awful. The Skyward Sword was awful. Right? And the one after that, Breath of the Wild, was absolutely incredible. But now, since Nintendo is just, I don't know, they're just not in the spirit. You know what I mean? I don't think the next Zelda game is going to be good. I just have this feeling. I could be wrong. But looking at Nintendo now, looking at what they're doing, and looking at how they're managing things. Looking at how they ruin Mario Kart World, you know, this generation's Mario Kart. Something tells me the next Zelda game is going to be absolute garbage. And the only thing that's probably gonna save it is the movie, the live action movie that's coming out. Probably. But anyways, what do you think? Make sure to comment below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. It's your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed.